This is a transformative time for the transgender community. I think we've seen some traction in the last 1, 2, 3, 4 years that we have not seen in decades. You see transgender communities taking the floor, speaking up, acting up, reclaiming their rights, not special rights, but their rights as people. So this consultation is just simply a continuation of some of the remarkable things that have taken place in the last 2, 3 years of the transgender community in the Pacific, in Asia, saying our rights are important, our voices need to be heard, and programs need to be developed together with us. I think one of the biggest challenges is for those of us who are not transgender is to have the decency and the courage to listen. Nobody knows the life of a transgendered person better than a transgendered person. I think it takes courage for bureaucrats, for donors, for governments, for UN system staff members to say, listen, your life is important, your life has value, no person is less important. I need to learn from you, I need to listen, and I need to respect your expertise. So I think first thing is to listen and to appreciate every person's life and every person's lived experience as to what it means to be transgender and what it means to be a person committed to the response here in Asia and the Pacific. I think the priorities are being defined by the community. I think they want to participate, they want to have ownership of the response, they want to live in an environment that is free from fear and free from want. We live in a region that has some remarkable, unbelievable best practices. And we also live in a region that has some punitive laws, policies, and practices that continue to push people down. So we need to make sure that laws work for people. We need to ensure that the elected officials and government leaders, religious and faith-based leaders, and other leaders, school leaders, peer leaders, and opinion makers, that they create the space to allow the voice of transgenders to be heard and to not judge them, but to create the space where you can learn from them and they can learn from us. We're just at the beginning. We're just at the beginning. It's really incredible that today we have leadership from the highest offices of the UN system, from the highest offices of governments from around the world, from community leaderships, from elected officials to institutions that are well recognized and honored and appreciated, that today they are speaking out in voices together with the transgender community about rights, about dignity, about tolerance, about acceptance, about health, about participation, about equality and equity. This has seldom been done, certainly not in my lifetime. And this is exciting. This is so exciting. And I think those of us who choose to be on that side of the equation, history is going to judge extremely well, because this is where the world's moving. Young people today expect nothing less than this from the institutions that they seek out to promote justice and equality. They expect nothing less from their religious leaders, and they expect nothing less from their political leaders. So this is an amazing opportunity for us to say and to do what we've known has been right all along. And maybe we didn't know how to do it. Maybe we lacked the courage. Maybe we were cautious in our ability to create social change, but all that's changing today, and it's changing quickly. People are networking, communicating, and they are voicing their ideas with integrity, passion, and honesty, and that's what they want from all of us. The international community has said we want to get to 0 new HIV infections, 0 discrimination, and 0 AIDS-related deaths. Getting to 0 new infections and 0 AIDS-related deaths is only possible if we get to zero discrimination. We do not succeed in reaching the most vulnerable, most marginalized, most at-risk populations, either with prevention or with treatment, if we don't have zero tolerance for discrimination and if we don't actively combat stigma. Governments have an obligation. They are the duty bearers to their citizens to ensure no laws discriminate against any person. Not just 50% of the population, not just 80% of the population, but governments are the duty bearers to ensure that there are no discriminatory laws against any of their citizens, regardless of their culture, their religion, their traditions, their historical past. Governments have a key role to play. In addition, stigma has to be reviewed by all members of the community, by government leaders, by religious leaders, by young people, by older and middle-aged people, by men, by women, by transgender men, transgender women. We all have to take a look inside of our heart and say, you know, if this was me, what would I want from my community? When I had a chance to show leadership, did I grab it or did I remain silent and let injustice, stigma, and discrimination rule when I could have, should have, was responsible to speak up and communicate that stigma is not on and that discrimination is never accepted. This was a remarkable time to be an official of the UN system, because the leadership that comes all the way from the Office of the Secretary General, from the Deputy Secretary General, from the Administrator of UNDP, from the leadership of UN Women, from the leadership of the World Health Organization, leadership of United Nations Population Fund, and so many amazing organizations coming together as a joint and co-sponsored program of UNAIDS. I think this is, the leadership has never been more in tune, more honest, more risk tolerant. It's never been more committed to integrity to the people that they seek to serve. We have 7.2 billion people on planet Earth, and increasingly we talk about sustainability, meaning no one being left behind. And that means no one left behind. And that means no transgender person, nobody because of their sexual orientation or their gender identity needs to be a second or a third class citizen. They can claim their rights, and today, nothing less is being asked from anybody who works in the UN system. It's our duty, it's our obligation, it's our privilege, and it's our responsibility.